Hey there, what's up? So look, I got this really cool Pepe shirt. I just wanted to show it off very quickly before the video. Very beautiful, very tasteful. But you can see right here what we have. JLP Savage Moment, Part 71. I'll get right into it.
White, but why does it seem like almost every single white person talks about or has lower back pain? I don't understand. Amazing.
Beta back. Beta back. That's why.
No doubt about that.
Okay.
Hold on.
I'm just not a fan of bottled water.
I gotta make sure I'm recording. You can never be too safe. I had to make sure very quickly.
But I'm doing it. No, James is telling me to drink tap water. Isn't that water from the ocean and they got all kind of stuff in it?
I can't believe. I mean, James is from here, but LA water is nasty.
I don't know how James ain't gonna drink it.
Nasty. James loves it too. I mean, he's like straight from the tap, no matter where it
I
is.
know it. I'm like, what the?
Foul. I could do it in my hometown up north.
Right.
But when I moved down here and I tried the tap water, I spit it out.
Because you have all the homeless people, illegal
water's
aliens, everybody
gross.
peeing in the water and taking dumps in the water.
Yeah. Foul.
Enjoy your water, James.
Refill your cup.
Joe is out of Phoenix, Arizona. Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. Tell me lies. A group of
Come on, that wasn't a good one. He's just singing.
stunned military officers didn't know where to look as a group of dancers twerked toward them during a celebration of a new
I
Australian
want to see.
Navy ship. So they're celebrating this brand new Navy ship. Look what happened. They have no shame.
This reminds
man-
me of the high school cheerleaders. This is what the high school cheerleading is like now, at least at my school. It's like a strip tease. Let's get a replay of that. She looks like she finds it funny. These guys, they look like they're trying to remain calm and unfazed. This guy has a little bit of a smirk here.
And the men can't do anything about it. They're afraid to even say, what are these sluts doing on our Navy ship? A bunch of nasty, slutty female twerkers.
Oh no.
This is what happens when the women take over. What they did up in Oregon area
Free thoughts
there is
matter.
they
There's a nice
started to
shirt.
open these nudie clubs, nude bars where men go and watch women dance naked. And we would hold rallies in front of the nudie bars, and we were chanting, "Can't get a date, gotta pay to see naked women, can't get a date." We were chanting that.
Amazing.
Amazing. And then the men were like showing up anyway. So what we started to do is take pictures of their cars and their license plates and things like that, and we would present them on my show. The men got angry, and that slowed it down. But we were able to get the bill passed, and it's on the books there in Grants Pass, Oregon. Marquise, is that right?
Jesse has been doing politics for a long, long time. For those of you who don't know.
Is a first-time caller out of Atlanta, Georgia.
Let's go.
Marquise, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Hey, man, why you so much of a beta?
Of a what? A beta?
A beta?
Beta, well, why you say I'm a beta?
Hey, Jesse, why you don't let anybody know the town you from in Alabama? Why do you always say a plantation in Alabama? You ashamed of where you from, brother?
I'm from a plantation. Who is this?
That's a really good dodge right there, because he wants him to say his specific hometown. But Jesse reasserts himself by saying what he always says: I am from a plantation. So Jesse dodges the question, but in a very assertive way.
I introduced him to you. I told
'Cause
him
this guy is obviously trying to pressure him to reveal his specific hometown as opposed to the state.
he wouldn't believe the madness that you spread.
What do you mean?
When did you come up with this gimmick that you got here that's hot, that's trending? When did you come up with this gimmick?
What
It's
gimmick?
hard for me to believe. It's hard for me to believe that somebody with your background would fool and deceive the
This black guy is very loud.
good people of this country.
What am I not telling the truth about?
This kind of behavior is not good for breaking stereotypes. Seven minutes.
Well, I mean, let me say this. It could be your truth.
What am I not telling the truth about?
Sir, you didn't hear me. I said I am not saying you're not telling your truth.
What is my truth when you say my truth? What do you mean? Give me, give me an example.
Not all, but most blacks are bad. We're corrupt. We tear up America. That's all you ever say.
And that's not true?
Well, but sir, there are other people that contribute. Everybody, no man is good. Don't you say that?
Yes.
All is well.
Right.
So why
That's
did you,
right.
So why did you portray the last president as the best thing that happened?
You just mentioned about the blacks destroying America. I asked you if that's true.
No, it's not.
So the blacks are not destroying America?
No, they aren't.
Are they building?
They built this country.
Are they building?
Our ancestors built this country.
Are black Americans building?
Yes, sir.
Where?
Yes.
Where?
Everywhere, Jess.
Like where?
Atlanta, Detroit, L.A., Chicago, New York, all over.
Jesse gets a lot of callers like this. Black guys who have very low self-awareness, and they prove Jesse's point and prove his points about critiques about black people. For example, Jesse often points out how black people are very loud and interruptive, and people get offended by this, but then over and over again a black guy will call the show and just do this. And then he goes on to list several cities that no one wants to go to that are very violent as places of creation via black people.
So you call
What is this guy calling the show, it's kind of a relief, because when you look at political content on the internet, it's more relaxing to run into normies who are low IQ as opposed to communists or something. You know, I'd rather hear this cringy guy than someone like Vosh.
All destruction building.
Let me ask you this thing.
No, man. And then you can ask me. You can ask me. Hold on. I'm asking you. Are you
I'm very relaxed as I listen to this.
call the destruction building?
I could take a nap.
No, that's not what I'm doing.
What are they building in Atlanta? Crime is through the roof like never before.
When is the last time you've been to Atlanta, Jesse Peterson?
Hold on a minute. In Atlanta, crime is worse than any other time in the history of America since the blacks have taken over. And
How do you know that?
because I report on it, I pay attention, we do investigations of it. It's out of control.
Where are you getting
But my
this
point is,
from?
I want to know what do you guys mean when you say the blacks are builders? They're destroying monuments and flags and statues. They're creating ghettos. They're killing one another. They're robbing and
Okay, I
raping.
got a question.
Where?
I got a
Wait,
question then.
but
I got
answer
a
this
question.
first, and then you can ask me the question.
Okay.
Where
sir,
are
go.
what are they building?
They're oppressed by the people who you glorify.
Are you?
black people.
And who is that?
The people who enslaved people from the beginning and brought them here. Remember,
Who
we
are you
were
talking
brought
about?
here.
The Arabs?
No, I'm talking about
Well, it was the
people
Arabs who
Do you
brought the
glor-
blacks.
Do you glorify the
It was the
Arabs?
Arabs who brought the blacks here.
So let me
FYI.
ask you this.
No. Are you
this.
just
Oh my
talking
gosh.
about the Arabs?
No, I'm talking about who you glorify.
You said the ones that brought the blacks here. It was the
I
Arabs.
said we were brought here.
By the
we were
Arabs.
brought here.
Jesse.
We
By-
were brought here. Yeah, don't run. Don't
By-
run.
by the-
Don't run. Don't run.
By the
Don't run.
Well,
Arabs.
that's his phone. His phone sounds like there's two people talking at the same time.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask
No.
You this.
Do you know that the Arabs brought the blacks here?
Do you know that?
Yes. Do you know that?
Who told you that?
A little reading, you will find out for yourself. In Mommy Africa, it was the blacks who sold the blacks to the Arabs, and the Arabs went around the world selling the blacks. You've been
So
deceived.
where did the English and the Dutch come in at?
I have no idea, and at this point, don't care.
Man, this is kind of exhausting. When you listen to victim SJW rhetoric over and over again, for me, for right now, as I'm listening to this stuff, I'm tempted to dismantle it and counter it and just tear apart why it's stupid. But I mean, you hear this thing over and over again. It's like, what's the point? In my mind, I think for some things it just makes sense to not even try to red pill people and just let people be stupid. Save yourself the trouble on a lot of things. Maybe that's a neglectful viewpoint. But, I mean, you hear something like this. This is just an example, but you hear something like this over and over again. Oh, I'm black. It's so sad. Slavery, blah, blah, blah. And you exhaust yourself trying to dismantle this rhetoric every time you come across it.
Let me ask you this then.
Yes,
Let me
sir.
ask you this.
But Jesse's persistent. He's calm, and he will dismantle it over and over again in a calm, reasonable manner.
Because I know you finna run. Is anything that the blacks
How can the
have
blacks
done-
always say somebody
Hold
finna
on,
run?
sir. Hold on, sir. Is anything...
The blacks always say, don't run, because they know. Why do they say that? It's a part. They try to control you. Yeah, that's what it is. They're trying to control. Okay,
You ready, Mr. Peterson? Can I ask you one question?
Marquise.
You gotta go.
Marquise.
Listen, it's Marquise. It's Marquise.
Is your name Marquise?
Respect people.
Is your name
Respect
Marquise?
Yeah.
So am I talking to because on my board it says Marquise. And Marquise, you haven't asked me a question or made a statement yet.
I asked you the question. I said, why you so much of a beta male?
Oh, okay, yeah. And so are you saying I'm a beta male because I'm telling the truth about the blacks?
No,
Why am I a beta male?
because the way you think.
What do you mean?
You want to just single out black people? We can't talk about people for their own actions?
What color are the people and their actions today that are in the forefront of the news?
Everybody.
No. Hold on, buddy. I'm talking to
All
Marquise.
colors.
Hold on. I don't know who you are, but hold on, all right? Marquise.
Beta.
Marquise. What color are the people that's bringing on the destruction?
I don't know.
You
This is a random
don't-
prediction. It'll probably be wrong. but I think it's possible this Marquise guy is on pot. Based on that giggle, it felt very strange to me.
know what color they
It's
are?
not black. No, it's not. It's not.
Oh,
only
you
black.
don't see black people burning and robbing and killing and stealing and
I've never seen it. Never.
where you live?
I'm out here in Atlanta.
Where do you live?
You don't have a iPhone or TV or anything?
I'm on the iPhone right now, sir.
So if you haven't seen who it is, how do you know I'm a beta about it?
Because you're going by what you see on TV.
Marquise, how do you know I'm wrong if you haven't seen it?
Well, how do you know that
Hold
you're
on,
right
I'm
and you
talking to
haven't
Marquise, man. Hold
I was
on.
just about to ask you that.
No,
How
don't
do you
ask
know-
me his question, Marquise. I want you to think for yourself. How do you know
that's all
I'm
I was
wrong if you have not seen it?
Because you haven't even seen it, Jesse.
Marquise, how do you know I'm wrong if you haven't seen it?
Jesse, you
This is
haven't
exhausting.
seen it either.
You're not answering the
You don't know
question.
Hey, that's all I gotta say, man.
With all
I'm
respect,
ready.
Thank
I'm ready
you.
for a
can I
nap.
say
Thank you for calling, Marquise. Amazing.
All right, it's over. Finally.
Joel, he black. He's one of the greatest teachers of dance on this side of heaven. And you won't have to be worried about the twerking stuff, all the slut making stuff that goes on. One of his goals is to make dancing decent again. Really.
Oh. I wonder if that's a real hat. It's just for the meme. Probably just for the meme.
Ivan is out of Houston, Texas. Ivan, get it off your chest. You're on the air.
Jesse, yesterday I heard on your show that you said that black people are animals.
They act like animals.
Well, you said that today, but yesterday you said they are animals.
Well,
You
I
said
don't
that
remember
other
what
people
I
are human.
said yesterday, but they do act like animals.
It's thoughts like that and concepts like that is what makes the police afraid of black people and dehumanize them to think that they could just kill them and it's no big deal. And then when the media picks it up,
Are the blacks resisting arrest with the cops?
yeah, but the white
Wait a minute. Are they burning and stealing and running from cops and carrying on? Are they doing those things?
yeah, that they are, but that's
And,
not
and
animal
is that like a
behavior.
Yeah,
is
but
that
that's
like an
irrelevant.
animal behavior?
That's like a afraid person, a scared person.
So you're saying that a scared person is destroying people's property, robbing and stealing and killing, and resisting
Running-
arrest. That's a
A
scared.
scared person is running from the police and resisting arrest.
And why
an
would they?
angry
Why
person-
would they be doing that?
Why are they afraid?
Yeah.
Because they've seen on the news many times where the police are actually afraid themselves, and then they shoot a black person,
See,
and so that makes you scared.
so I want, and I'm glad that you called Ivan from Houston, Texas, because I want the world to see that black males are thinking just like black women. In the good
I
old
want the world
days,
to-
in the good
I
old
want the
days,
world to-
hold
I
on a
want
minute.
the world to see that
Hold
you
on,
are-
hold on. I'm gonna put him on hold because he's gonna try to talk over this. Don't hang up, Ivan. I want y'all to see that the black males are thinking like the black women, and they're encouraging black people to act like animals. In the good old days, the black male would correct the women and children. They would see that it's wrong to resist arrest. They would see that it's wrong to rob and steal and destroy other people's property, and they would correct it. But because the black males have the mindset of the black woman, they're calling good evil and evil good. They're part of the brainwashing. And that's what Irvin is demonstrating right now. So I want you to hear him demonstrating evil, presenting it as though it's a good, blaming other people for the bad behavior of the blacks. Go ahead, Irvin.
Did you know that the Constitution gives you the right to resist an unlawful arrest up to and including killing the officer? Did you know that?
If you are putting the cops' life at risk, what are they supposed to do?
Well, first of all, the cops signed up for a dangerous
No, I
job,
asked
so
you
their
a
lives are at
question.
risk.
What are they supposed to do if you're putting their lives at risk?
Well, they should read the employee handbook.
What
It does not
should
say
they
shoot
do if you're putting their lives
should-
at risk?
I know that your opinion about black people comes from the black people that you know.
No,
Because
it's coming
obvious-
from the
wait,
black
no, let me
people I'm
fin- let me
seeing in
finish,
the
let me finish.
news.
And
It
I
comes
know
from
you
the.
live in-
It comes from the black people I'm seeing in the media, the black people I'm seeing in government, the black people I'm seeing in schools, and the black people I'm seeing everywhere else. It's not just coming from that at all.
It's coming from TV because it's obvious the way
I
they
had him on
He
hold.
was
it, he
still
didn't know
talking
it.
while he was on mute.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. No, I believe that what I hear from you is a man who is barely literate. You can hardly pronounce words, and I can tell that you were raised by animal-type people. And that's why you think that about.
In
you
what
think that
in
about
what
black
way
people
you see that I'm raised by animal type people? What way?
Because you could barely.
Interesting how he says Jesse was raised as animal people. Yet earlier, in reference to Jesse saying blacks act like animals, the guy was acting very offended and as if saying anyone acts like animals is such a mean thing. But then simultaneously, later on, he's using this against Jesse, even though Jesse doesn't act like an animal. And the blacks are acting like animals when they burn down buildings and loot and want to defund the police and etc. So you see, it's really not. It's not as much as being offended as these kinds of people, these people with victim mentalities pretend to be. It's more about what they're motivated by, and obviously, this guy calling the show is motivated by his commitment to his race, meaning what he perceives as being black, as opposed to seeing race in a more, I guess, irrelevant way, meaning you can be invested in your race and draw a large sense of identity out of that and be offended if someone criticizes what people of your race are doing, or you can be neutral and observe that. You as a human being are simply a soul put into a body that happens to be of a certain race, and does not have to identify with ideologies or take offense on behalf of a race or think on behalf of a race, etc. So this whole thing where he's offended, oh, you say black people act like animals, that's so horrible. He's probably offended to an extent, but it's more disingenuous. It's really about his commitment to blackness and black people having no faults and never doing wrong. This is spiritual motivations, basically. He is spiritually committed to honoring the virtue of being black. So he would rather perpetuate and believe lies and feel like a victim and etc., as opposed to appreciate someone like Jesse or agree with someone like Jesse who says things that are offensive. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, right? Because being offended is for weak people, but who says things that are offensive but true. Instead of appreciating that, he resents that because his heart is simply in the wrong place.
Read, and then your mentality is kind of stupid.
In what
So
way
it's
is it
pretty
stupid?
Because you feel like if a person resists arrest, that they should get shot for it and killed.
No, they put
I've
their own lives
I've
at
heard
risk.
that argument a lot, which is false. What it really is about is resisting arrest causing you to get shot. And the simple concept of self-defense, people don't understand this. If you're a cop and some criminal is resisting arrest, they're fighting with you, they're squirming around in their car, blah, 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 etc. They're pulling out your taser. You could very well be killed. So the best thing for you to do as a citizen is to get over your ego, understand that the police officer also likes his life and he would like to live. So he's probably not going to be very flippant. He's probably not going to be very quick to want to preserve your life. When you're acting crazy, you're going into your glove department and he doesn't know what's in there. When you're pulling his taser, the police is going to want to defend himself. So to resent them for such a thing is illogical. And then to make it about race, when all these black people who are getting killed by the police are thugs, they're criminals, they all have records, they all have attitudes of the police, they don't follow the police's order, but then all those facts are irrelevant personal responsibility is completely out of the picture, and it's, well, yeah, you shouldn't have resisted arrest, and maybe it makes sense that the cop would be scared if you're acting crazy, but that doesn't mean you should get killed. You should just be able to do whatever you want. What exactly is the solution for police officers? If police officers in any scenario can never defend themselves, can never shoot anyone, and the thing about that is most of these what do they call it? Police brutality incidences aren't even shootings, and are usually either justified or just completely misunderstood. George Floyd, this guy, he has 3 times lethal dosage of fentanyl in his system. He dies 23 hours after this cop has his knee on him. Well, is the cop going to be off free? Even though he had 3 times the lethal dosage in his system, he dies 23 hours later. Common sense tells you, if you choke someone, they're not going to die 23 hours later. All right. If I squeeze your neck and I choke you, are you going to die when I'm choking you, or are you going to die 23 hours later? Right. And on top of that, you have drugs in your system. So really, that's just an example. But really, when you're talking about these police brutality situations, it's really more hypothetical, because in most of them, the person doesn't. Well, at some of them, but a good few, they don't even get shot. Like for example, Trayvon Martin, for example, that wasn't a police situation, but it was the same concept, right? Mean, not in this case a Hispanic person, but mean non-black person bullies black person. This guy was a thug. He had criminal charges. He lived a thuggish lifestyle. He proclaimed himself as a thug. He's in this neighborhood messing around, probably been there multiple times. This Hispanic dude gets fed up, chases him down, calls him the N-word, whatever, and kills him. And it's like, well, yeah, he brought that upon himself, but you called him the N-word, and you killed him, so you're evil. And obviously, this is black people being oppressed. This has nothing to do with any of their wrongdoing, and even if it does, white people, you're mean, you're evil, and you're still to blame. So there is no winning, and you're not going to gain points by being. You have to be honest about this. You have to say things as they are, and you're not going to win points by trying to concede like, oh, I'm against racism too. I'm against whitey being mean too. You have to reject all that, because black people do not hold themselves to that standard. Black people resent white people more than vice versa. If you go amongst black people, it is a normal sentiment that they are partially or extremely resentful of white people. Oftentimes, I've had personal encounters with black people that openly say they hate white people, right? And I don't resent them for that. But you see how black people can resent white people to a very large degree, and they do not consider that racist, whereas white people are very nice to black people usually. They may hold a very tiny amount of prejudice towards them, but overall, they're very nice. Whereas black people have a large resentment towards white people oftentimes. But who is the target of the term racism? It's always white people, occasionally someone else, but it's never black people. So the whole term, Jesse makes a good point when he says there's no such thing as racism, because this whole term, it has no. It's used for evil. It's used by Marxists. It's used by people who want to divide the races, right? Divide the races and conquer. But I mean, the term, yeah, obviously, the denotative definition of racism, which I guess they have many denotative definitions of the word, but usually the one you think about is people thinking their race is superior, or they don't like a certain race, which theoretically happens, right? But you see the application of the word has no real connotation. It's very vague, and it's like, well, you're a criminal and you get killed by the cops, so that's racist. And it also neglects the spiritual aspect of the human existence, which is, if you have a tribalistic mindset and you have hatred towards a group of people, can you really honestly say that you don't have hatred towards everyone else? Now, your hatred towards one group of people may look more prominent, but truly, can a person that has hatred can he can they really be racist, right? If they are not a person that has love, they don't have love for anyone, right? So we're focusing on the fleshly manifestations. Not well, we're focusing on really stuff that's not even what you would call racist, right? But if you're dealing with someone like, say, for example, a white supremacist, you're focusing on the fleshly manifestations of spiritual problems, right? If someone's a white supremacist, is it more the fact that they have some special, just random hatred for black people, or is it there's something wrong with their spirit? They look for things to resent, and black people just happen to be their target audience, right? So when you can see that you need to focus on the concept of racism and like, well, yes, I'm just against SJWism, but I'm also I'm against racism. I don't think it's a good take because the word, this is basic how you perpetuate evil, how communism has to manifest itself, how liberalism has to take over the culture. You have to take control of the language. And when you want to get rid of the white people and when you resent them and you're angry at them for slavery, blah, 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 you're going to obviously use the language in order to help accelerate the getting rid of the whites and filling the government with radicals. And when the word racism has such a loose connotation, it really doesn't make sense to address it. People think that's unfair. People think that's extreme. But really, if we are Christians and we are spiritual people, should we really be looking at, and oftentimes not even hatred, but let's say theoretically we're looking at a white supremacist or something, right? Should we be looking at this through a fleshly realm of race or through a spiritual realm? Because look at what's happening when we look at it through the fleshly realm. We're getting cities burned down. White people are afraid to criticize black people at all. No white person is going to say the stuff Jesse is saying. A white person probably wouldn't say what I'm saying right now, which isn't that controversial, really. There are more controversial things you could say. So you have the whites who are scared. You have the blacks who are empowered to be victims and pressure white people and other people to be intimidated by them. This is what we got by addressing racism, by acknowledging this problem, right? So is it really doing good for us to look at these conflicts through a realm of race and through a realm of a fleshy realm, if that makes sense? I don't think so.
Risk by resisting arrest.
Is it true?
It's
that
not
you
the
think that they
cop's
should get
fault.
shot?
It's not the cop. It's
You're
not.
not even
Hold
listening.
on, Ivan. It's not the cop fault that they that the blacks are putting their own lives at
No, but it's
risk
the cop's fault for pulling
by
the trigger.
resisting.
But they pulled the trigger. And
Amazing. And what responsibility do the blacks have for resisting arrest?
George Floyd should have been using a counterfeit $20 bill. That's what their responsibility is.
Whose fault is it that George Floyd was resisting arrest?
It's not. It wasn't wrong.
Whose fault is it?
When you talk about fault, there has to be something wrong.
Whose fault is it that George Floyd was resisting arrest?
You are on.
You're not answering the
proving my point.
question. Whose fault is it that George Floyd was resisting arrest?
George Floyd's fault.
Thank you, Irvin. Or Ivan, whatever your name is. See, folks, the adult black males are thinking just like the adult black female. And so there's no nothing to turn the blacks around back to righteousness because the whites are not going to do it. Back in a moment.
And the thing about this is, right, pretty much everything Jesse says is controversial, especially about black people, because I think the three main groups you can't criticize in America are, in no particular order. I haven't thought of the order. It's hard to determine what the order, but probably black people, women, and gays, homosexual people. Headphone thing is acting weird. But the thing is, let's concede that Jesse's like a race, an evil. He's evil. He hates his own race or whatever, right? And this is actually true. Why is it so controversial what he's saying? In other words, if someone perpetuates nonsense, would the natural response to perpetuating nonsense be resentment, or would it be disregard, neglect, or whatever? That's silly. I don't really care. When people say things that are extremely silly, people usually tend to disregard them. Now, that's not true all the time. Like, for example, with critical race theory, when Coke makes a commercial talking about be less white, people resent that, and that is silly. But the difference is it has a pressure on the person to act a certain way, and you're putting a pressure into society for people to feel a certain way. And you know it's going to have applications in your personal life. You know, you're gonna have to go to your work and take your diversity training, whatever nonsense. But for Jesse, like, it's like he just has a show where he is speaking, and he's not really he doesn't have a bunch of people in real life bothering you for whatever he believes. So if it really is true that Jesse is just evil and he's hates his own race or whatever, why do people resent him so much? Wouldn't it make sense that if it is true, that would be the natural response? Resentment would be the response to this controversial truth. But if it was a lie, would it make sense that people would resent it so much, or would it be more logical to conclude that people would disregard it? So I think that's a good evidence. That's not just with Jesse. That happens a lot of times. You can observe that, where it's like, if what this person is saying is so wrong, why are you so mad at it, you know? If there's more than two genders, why would you be mad at someone saying there's only two? You just know that's wrong, wouldn't you? But no, you're mad because you know this actually is true, and you resent the truth, and your resentment causes you to be angry. So, and that's not 100% true, right? There's obviously cases in where you could have someone could resent something that could actually be wrong, of course. But generally, people resent things or resent assertions that either have bad applications or are true. And this is the case with Jesse saying. Jesse speaks truth. He's honest. He's been on this planet for so long, and he has overcome what he calls the fallen state, right? And he is not in his thoughts. He is not invested in what others have to say about him. So he speaks truth in such an unfiltered way that inevitably he offends a lot of people. But also he gains a lot of people's attraction because people see him as very bold, and there aren't that many people like him, not even in the sense of the things he talks about, but people that are so bold to say such controversial things in such a casual, calm manner. So that's what draws people to Jesse. That's why he has 300,000 subscribers, right? Oh, is it over? No, it's just an ad.
Let me go to Jason out of Buffalo, New York. This should be interesting. Jason, you're on the air.
All right. My first question is, do you think that George Floyd deserved to die?
I think that George Floyd brought what he got upon himself. No one is to blame but George Floyd.
So you're saying he brought it on himself?
Yes.
So basically you're saying he deserved to die for...
He brought whatever he got, he brought it upon himself.
It's just become normal to twist what people say. He brought it upon himself, which is true. Oh, so basically you're saying he deserved to die. Which I don't agree with that argument anyways, because it neglects the fact that everyone deserves to die, which people don't know and people forget. But why does God allow us to die in the first place? Because we're all fallen human beings. We're all in rebellion against him at some point or another, right? So we all deserve death for our sin. God takes sin very seriously. So this thing, well, do you think he deserved to die? Well, yes. Everyone deserves to die. You deserve to die. I deserve to die. But by the mercy of God, we can overcome death and live virtuously and enter the kingdom of heaven if we choose to accept the sacrifice that Christ has for us. But I mean, yes, everyone deserves to die. So that whole, did he deserve to die? Well, that doesn't really work, right? But you could also say that question means, like, should the officer have done what he did? Which is, usually the answer is yes. But even if it's no, it's like, well, maybe not. But I mean, if you go poke a bear, maybe it's not right for the bear to kill you, but you get what you ask for, man. If I go in the hood and I'm going to harass some gangster, right? I know this guy has a strap. I know he's a gangster. I know he doesn't like being disrespected. If I'm going to go insult him, call him names or whatever, and I get shot, maybe it's wrong for him to shoot. It is wrong for him to shoot me, right? But I asked for that. Whereas in the case with the police, it's like, it's not wrong because, and I'm not saying indefinitely, but all these cases, man, I can't find a single case where that they show where some black person gets killed and it's so sad, where it's like you can generally feel like the police officer did something wrong, except for this new one actually with the woman, and the woman like thinks she has a taser. I can give you that one in an extent, right? Not because of racism or something, but that was just a wrong move on the cops' part. But I mean, it's dishonest to be like, well, the cops shouldn't have done that. It's like, should they have though? I mean, should Derek Chauvin should he have put his knee on George's neck? Well, I mean, maybe not, but the knee didn't kill him. This guy's drug overdose killed him, and I mean, he survived 23 hours after that. And I'm supposed to be worried about this knee, which is part of the police protocol. So I mean, unless the police are a bunch of boneheads, I'm assuming that if something is part of police protocol, it's not lethal in the sense that for that reason. Because if this is part of a procedure where you put your knee on someone's neck in order to keep them down or whatever, I highly doubt that's lethal. And when you have a person who has 3 times lethal dosage, and it's like everyone's just pretending that this knee killed him. It's like, really, we're gonna just ignore the fact this guy has 3 times lethal dosage. We're also gonna ignore the fact this is not even relevant. None of these people who are passionate about George even knew him. It is simply a cope and an excuse to feel sorry for yourself and to resent white people even more, to resent the country even more, to resent the police even more. And people live off of being resentful. That's the core of it. This is revealed by the argument of, well, if black people's hearts are truly in the right place by be resenting all this so-called racism, how come there's no resentment towards the blacks killing each other in the inner cities? How come there's no resentment towards the millions of black babies that are being killed, right? It is not coming from a place of virtue. It is coming from a place of resentment. If black women are killing millions of babies, which they are and they have, right? It's not really in a black person's best interest to resent that, because in a way, not truly, but in the mind of a person who's into their race and they draw a sense of identity, I'm black, I'm part of it, the black tribe. You're resenting yourself. If you resent the fact that, or you're not even resent maybe, but you're against the fact that black women are killing their babies, or blacks are killing each other at a much higher rate than whites are, than the Klan is, right? You're resenting yourself theoretically. So it's not in black people's interest to call out the wrongdoing of theirs. It's only in their interest to call out the wrongdoing of whites and non-blacks, because you can't resent your own. Basically, that's the reasoning. That's why you're not going to see. That's why you're not going to see black people getting together to talk about inner city violence and how much they're angry about that. And not saying that it needs to happen. I mean, I think it needs to happen in the sense that it needs to be addressed. But I'm not saying I believe that black people should be resentful of that. I don't think people should be resentful of anything, because resentment is not good. It is of the devil. There is no love in resentment, right? But my point is, the resenting your own things that are much worse than the things you're resenting from the behalf of white people, which are mostly fraudulent. That really reveals where the intentions are of the blacks who are into this thing about we are oppressed, etc. It's to feel, not even necessarily feel like a victim, but to have something to resent. Because you don't even have to feel like a victim to believe these things. You can just simply resent these things. These celebrities who believe in this kind of rhetoric, they don't feel like victims, but they still resent. They still resent Derek Chauvin. They still resent the country. They still resent America. They still resent the fact that white people colonized the country. Even though it was a benefit to the country, they still resent that. So it's not even necessarily about being a victim, as it is about having something to resent.
He was an unemployed drug addict. and he has a prison record, and it has been reported that he had a phony $20 bill that he was trying to use in a store. He brought it up on himself. Derek,
So he deserves
the
it.
officer is not responsible for it.
He's not responsible.
I just asked you a question, Jason. Do you have another one?
You said the cop had nothing to do with his death. So the cop being his foot on his neck, obstructing his breathing, that didn't have nothing to do with
If you saw the real video, it wasn't on his neck. It was close to the neck, but it wasn't on the neck.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like, the exhaust from the car, that didn't have nothing to do with, like, with him being in that position on the ground.
He was
causing his
high.
death from- So you think he would have died? Like, if
He
didn't run
was
into the
high.
officer,
You keep
he would've
asking me,
died.
so you're saying it all over again. Why? Why you have to
All
be
right,
the same
that's
thing?
like- all right, we're not going to get nowhere with that.
Right. So move it forward. Not ask me to repeat the same thing over and over. Jennifer, Africa, Mama, Africa. I see angels.
You go with that. Do you think economic situations have anything to do with?
Not
what's
one
going on?
iota. Because look at how fat the blacks are. They're not skinny little African blacks running around. They're fat Americans.
What you mean? How fat? Like this? So you saying this is
They're not
people
like
are
little
fat.
skinny Africans who you see the bones.
If they were like skinny Africans seeing like little bones, would that give you like you would have a little more?
That's not the case. I don't do ifs. If the fraud didn't have a glass ass, he wouldn't have broken when he jumped.
All right, so you think it's like black people put themselves in that position? It wasn't
Absolutely.
like there's no such thing as profiling or nothing like that. No.
It used to be. I don't think they do it anymore because the whites have been intimidated.
So this
We
is
need to
the
bring
white
back
person that did it.
profiling.
When Nick and I went into Santa Monica last year during those riots, and they set an entire restaurant on fire.
The blacks.
Yeah,
Chris is
they were
smile.
breaking into stores and
But these people know that, but they're in denial about it. I mean, everybody
Yeah.
know it
yeah,
around the
it's
world.
totally obvious.
But these people in denial, they're looking at reality and denying it.
Yep,
They see angels.
angels coming from Africa.
Yes.
You think the rest of the world have a negative or positive look on Black Lives Matter? And
Total negative.
Totally negative. Where's your evidence?
If
You know how
ever
long?
black people have revealed to the world who they are, they have done it now. They are doing it now. Like never before in the history of America. Nobody like
How
black
long-
people now, man. Everybody afraid of y'all.
You saying everybody like so?
Mexicans don't like y'all. Japanese don't like you. Chinese don't like you. Even decent blacks in other parts of the world don't like you.
That's tough.
All right, so when everybody else.
This is not a movement.
Like that.
This is a mob ripoff.
The changes that were implemented behind the movement, behind black people being killed, all those are bad.
What changes?
The chokehold, the putting the knee on the people back, profiling.
What, awful. That's causing the blacks to go more so out of control. But let me ask, which are you most concerned about? The thugs that are running from the cops and getting killed or hurt, or the black on black crime throughout the country?
I would have to say kind of like both. I'm black for the last.
Which are you
thing I
most
wanna do.
concerned about? The few black thugs who are running from cops, or the many black people getting killed or robbed or raped by other blacks?
I would have to say like I mean that's a difficult question. So it's
Why
like,
that difficult?
do I
What the?
What is you saying? I mean, what you saying is like, do I fear for my life?
Jason, call me again. I got to take a break. 2 more hours to go. Manhood hours coming up. Hake is coming in with the hate news. Not the fake news, but the hate news. 2 more hours to go. Back in a moment.
La la la.
I got to tell y'all this. I've gotten back into, now that the gym open here in LA,
Isn't that weird?
I've been working.
When he said I've gotten back into, I immediately knew he was going to start talking about exercise. I don't know how I knew that. He's talked about exercise before. Maybe he used the same semantics. But you ever have a moment like that where someone says like a couple words and you can predict what they're about to say next? But it's like those words don't necessarily imply what they're about to say next, but you still predict it. Maybe it's just like subconscious understanding of how words work. Maybe working out is one of the few things that you say after you say the phrase I've gotten back into. Maybe there's only a few things you say that with. I've gotten back into working out. I've gotten back into I don't know.
Working out like almost every day. But I really enjoy working out. I've been like that all my life, really. It's nothing like, I don't understand why people don't work out. Why would you just sit around and let your body get old and flabby and disappear? Then you're walking all hunchback and crazy looking. It ain't easy being beautiful. My neck is sore from putting that bar doing the squat. You ever had that?
Yeah, definitely, because I hit the weights so hard.
If it's only happening on one platform,
Right.
it's likely the platform's fault, or the platform is pulling shenanigans.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, Joel never had that problem.
I don't get
You're
the
mistaken.
Is this your first time, sir? Okay. How did you find us?
Seeing you around online and from my friend.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
He dragged us here. So,
Welcome. What's your name?
Chris.
Any questions, Chris, or disagreements, or anything I need to clear up?
Not really any questions. I have a comment. I really love what you have to say about. I'm at a loss for words. Oof, lost it. Anyway.
No, I
You smoke pot?
Yeah.
don't think he lost it. I think he was going to talk. I think he was about to say race relations, but his lizard brain said, "No, that's offensive. You can't say that."
It's happened before. It's happened. Yeah.
How long have you been smoking pot?
Oh, since I was a child.
And how old are you now?
29 almost.
And you're still smoking it?
Yeah, pretty much.
And do you want to stop, or are you okay with it?
I'd rather quit smoking cigarettes.
Than pot.
Yeah.
So you
that's so
smoke
sad.
cigarette and pot.
Yes.
Why don't you quit both? He said he'd. I wonder if he's coping, or he literally thinks like his brain actually thinks you can only quit one thing. I don't know. I guess he feels like it's too much effort to try to overcome both vices.
At the same time? Like this.
Savage. 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 Savage.
Is it over?
Savage.
Al Sharpton.
Are you a Christian?
Whoa, buddy. That's funny.
Are you a Christian?
Yeah.
So do you want to overcome smoking the pot?
Is it over? Something else, huh?
We have a teacher within. Is this your first time?
I guess this is my first time as well. Yes, I'm his twin brother, Michael.
And so did you know he's been smoking pot?
We're in the same boat. We're twins.
So you've been smoking since 11 as well?
Basically, yeah.
Really?
Yes.
So if you were to stop smoking pot, will he automatically stop?
That is not the case. No.
It's not, huh?
No.
And when you were dating, do you make him go somewhere and sit down? Do you make him get out of your life?
Not really. No. We've always had to share our whole lives, so it's not really like.
You had to share?
Yeah, like
You
you're stuck.
shared a date?
Yeah, that's happened.
What the? Pass the mic. This is
Next
getting
first
pretty
timer.
deep.
All right. Well, I think that's it.
And I am Miss.
Oh, this is me.
Hi, my name is Erin. I use she, her pronouns, and I am Miss.
I've seen this meme before. This is a good one, isn't it? Well, that's that. Savage Moments, JLP, Part 71. pretty good commentary on my behalf, I think. I didn't mean to. When I make these videos, I usually just say what comes to my mind. I don't really have a large intention to say something beforehand. I'm talking about reaction videos. I'm not talking about videos where I say talk about COVID or whatever. Or obviously some videos I have an intention, but when I do these reaction videos, I just say what comes to my mind. So it's interesting to see it's interesting to watch back what I say. And it's kind of nice to see your own articulation of what you know. But that was JOP Savage Moments Part 71. You enjoyed. If you watched the whole thing, you're cool. All right, you watched the whole thing. All the other losers, they watched for 2 minutes and they left. But you're cool because you watched the whole thing. So thank you for that. Remember, Christianity is true. You don't know why Christianity is true. There's lots of good evidence. There's lots of good resources out there. All right, look at my search thing. We have drip outfits here. How do you think I found this shirt? Drip outfits. Oh yeah. But anyways, if you're a non-Christian, there's good resources on Proof of Christianity. Go watch some Living Waters. Go watch some Cross-Examined, all right? So you don't go to hell. Not to be funny, but that's a serious thing. You don't want to reject Christ and end up going to hell. To be very bad, and that's the worst thing you could neglect is a relationship with Christ. Which sounds kind of random, but I am a Christian. I do know this, and it is important for me to make that known to other people. There could be one person watching this who is not saved. So yeah, make sure you're right with Christ. This was a nice video. Jesse Lee Peterson. Always nice to watch him. I don't watch him so much nowadays because a lot of the people who call this show are cringe, and I don't like hearing cringiness. I'm very sensitive to things that make me cringe, not necessarily things I disagree with. Obviously, things that make me cringe, I do disagree with, but I can't stand when I want to be entertained or watch something and I hear a bunch of cringe. That's why CNN is detestable to me, because I hate lying. I hate when people lie. I can't stand that. And CNN, all they do is lie. So whenever I hear CNN, it just irks my soul. Even though I know by now they lie, like just seeing people lie, seeing people be cringy, it hurts my being. But yeah, I always appreciate watching Jesse. If you don't know who Jesse is, you probably do if you're watching this video. But if you don't, go check him out. He's awesome. He's cool. And I will see you later. Have a wonderful time. Drink your water. You got to be healthy. All right. If you're not drinking water, your body's just not going to be as well functioning as it should be. Drink your water. Follow Christ. Be healthy. And I will see you later. Bye-bye.